You don't have to be a star, baby. You don't have to be a star, baby. You don't have to be a star, baby, to be on this show. You don't have to be a star, but you must be bold. Yeah! Shake my pom poms. Shake my pom poms. Shake my pom poms. Well, welcome inside the Little Hut podcast. And of course, you got your girl, Kimberly F. Brown. Brown, 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 that damn brown on Cleveland. And of course, tonight we're going to talk about angry people, but not the angry black woman, the angry black man, and the angry white man. Show enough, show enough, show enough. 10 p.m. Friday evening, and hopefully you guys will have a fantabulous weekend. But before we get into this very brief show, because I'm not going to be with you too long, because I am going fishing in the morning. I kid you not. Now, don't forget that if you're looking for a single home, commercial property, or new development, call my girl Aletha Johnson of Dream Team Realty at 216 375 3681. And if you're looking for t shirts, hoodies, jackets, tumblers, cups, mugs, team uniforms, family and class memorabilia, call Angie Marie of New Beginnings 1111. She's only located in Maple Heights, not too far, not too far, not too far. And she can be reached at 216 395 7335. And don't forget, as always, on Friday's Little Hut podcast is brought to you by MayorMattBurt.com and his reelection campaign. So here's a message from the mayor. Now, the Garfield Heights Fire Department is installing free smoke detectors for residents. Call 216 475 8040. That's 216 475 8040 to schedule installation. Now, you can find lots of information on what Mayor Burke has been up to in the community, from enhancing the economic base, reducing crime, and increased services for seniors to parks and recreations, right? So log on to mayormattburt.com for all of the great information. Brown, 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 that darn brown on Cleveland. Listen, y'all, how come everybody is angry? Well, I don't know, but my key to anger is to simply stay out of the way and stay away from messy Marys and messy Marvins. Because if you just work on yourself, you don't have to worry about dealing with the mess of everybody else. Brown, 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 that darn brown on Cleveland. So let's look at this. Anger is a powerful emotion. And when it's directed towards family or our elected officials, it can feel overwhelming. It's almost like you want to punch somebody in the nose, but you better not do it. It often stems from unmet expectations or perceived betrayals. And we know a whole lot of people out there like to stab people in the back, in the neck, and even in the heart. They don't care because they are so heartless. Have you ever felt that rush of frustration when a family member fails to understand your perspective? Or that burning sensation when a politician's decisions seems to disregard your community needs? Now, it's natural to feel hostile in these situations. Now, when it comes to family members, listen, you're going to love them anyway. But when it comes to them darn elected officials, public officials, listen, if they're not meeting your need, just don't vote for those jokers. It's time to change the seat. Brown, 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 that damn brown on Cleveland. Listen, several days ago, I was on social media and I ran across a post from someone who was talking about Mike Polisic of the city of Cleveland. And they were talking about a business owner who has a business in Cleveland Ward 1, Mr. Daryl Houston. Now, not going to take sides, not at all. But when it was brought to my attention, some people were siding with the statements of Daryl Houston that he made towards Councilman Polensik, Councilman Conwell, sort of, kind of, our council president, Blaine Griffin, and some other people. And there are allegations that Mr. Mike Polensik called the young man a unbecoming name. I wasn't there. I didn't hear it. It's not on tape, so I'm not going to say it. But I want you to weigh in on the situation because we have a lot of disgruntled people. We have a lot of council people who ought to retire or who shouldn't run for reelection. But here's the problem: we got a whole lot of precinct people out there and just people who don't pay attention. Y'all know my favorite word, just dumb, who will keep voting these same people into office. And then once they get into office, once you guys re-elect them into office, you got nerves to complain. You cannot complain when you are the problem. Not part of the problem, but you are the problem. So give me a second, and I am going to show you this video. And then in the comment section of Brown Oak Cleveland, I want you to tell me your thoughts. Let's see. Here we go. Here we go. Let me pull up this video.
City issues. He's
All
not
right.
representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Mr. Houston, you had
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Blaine Griffin. And this is directed towards Mr. Griffin and the mayor, the two leaders. You asked for a report on from the community. Should you run for mayor or not? Right? Well, you probably could run for mayor, right? And you probably would win, right? If you had a better track record, right? Now, what I mean by a better track record is me and you have been dealing with each other for about 9 months. Came to my establishment, Mr. D's Car Wash. We spoke, we had pleasantries. I gave you some ideas. I've been coming down here for 12 months. And what stuck out to me is that right now we have an ineffective safety committee, and we definitely have an ineffective utility committee, right? And I've asked you repeatedly to consider removing the top people at the chair that's orchestrating that. And that's Mr. Polensik, that's sitting there reading a book, that never turns around when you ask him to turn around, never looks at the community. Here's another gentleman, Casey, who's told me personally that he don't even really care about public comment, but y'all serve the public. And I'm trying to understand, how do you guys act the way y'all act with taxpayers' dollars? I don't understand that. And then you take a hearsay conversation and you write a letter to a federal judge about a former attorney general, right? With nothing on it, with nothing. So I plan on writing a letter. You won't kick the can, Mr. Polensik. You won't be able to kick the can because the burden of getting these people and these police back in the streets and doing their jobs rely on that safety committee. And you've been kicking the can. You've been here through 4 administrations. It's time for you to retire, bruh. You don't have a clue to what's going on in the community at all. At all. That go for Kasich, that go for Conwell, and it's a question mark by Mr. Griffin because I want to work with him, right? Just like I want to work with this mayor here. You guys have systematically sat here and tried to destroy everything that young man had tried to do in his 3 years sitting on that seat. And you know it. You, Mr. Polensik, you Kasich, you was guilty of telling me when the commission came in to ask for more funding to do their job that you don't want to give it to them. See, y'all been down here playing games, and the game is over with because I got some real questions for you, Mr. Polensik. You don't have to retire. I'm going to put you with your buddy, Bashir Jones. That's where I'm going to put you at because I know you're down here stealing. I know you're down here stealing, and I can prove it now because you've been playing games for 40 years, and you ain't had no desire to move out that seat you sitting in. I know why. You know I know why.
time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Unbelievable. So I don't know, but this is what happens when you have business owners, you have residents who are not happy with the services. Now, we do know that the city of Cleveland, they have a major safety issue. And I don't care who Mayor Bibb hires. I don't care what marketing firm, what PR firm. The reality is this: the city of Cleveland has an issue with the increase of crime. And I've been telling you guys that since 2009. But no one wants to listen to the intelligence or the intelligent people. People want to keep, again, re-electing the same old tired people into office. And now this is the end result. The other thing is this: there has been some conversations regarding Mr. Houston about whether or not he was verbally aggressive or if he was verbally attacking Mr. Polinsky. Now, let me say this, and I am going here tonight. Had a woman, especially a black woman, had she stood there on the council floor of the city of Cleveland and said the things that Mr. Houston stated, she would have been labeled as an aggressive, angry, ignorant black woman. She would have been called every name in the book. Had a black woman would have been reading a book or paper while a constituent is expressing his or her thoughts, she would have been called every name in the book. I am so sick and tired of sexism, colorism, and racism. But what got me is when Council President Blaine Griffin, now I've heard him say this, he says it always. He instructs the council people when it's time for public comments to turn around and face constituents, the same constituents who can put you in office and the same ones who can take you out of office. That's just basic respect. And it appears that some of the people on Cleveland City Council has no respect for the constituents who put them in office. So let me go and say this. It's not just Councilperson Joe Jones. He has an issue. And you guys say what? He's supposed to go to some type of class to learn how to behave? Hmm. Daryl Houston just pointed out that Councilman Mike Polinsky was reading a book. They also pointed out that Councilman Kasich had a smirk on his face. And they didn't point out anybody else, but there's no telling if somebody else was doing something just as egregious as the others. But I'm not going to give the women a pass because I told you guys several months ago when I was at the Zelma George Center, that darn council person named Deborah Gray is just as disrespectful and volatile as the day is long. And I know that for a fact because she tried to provoke me by bumping into me. But see, I'm not that person. I'm not going to go there with you. I just know what you did. And I just know that a lot of these council people got this like bully approach in them. Just because you are an elected official, that gives you no right to be disrespectful to business owners or to constituents. There's a certain kind of way that you must respond to people, and you're just not fitting the needs. But the other thing that's mind boggling is I read a couple of weeks ago, and follow me if you will. There was an article on Newsbreak. I can't remember who covered the story, but I know that council people, Cleveland council people, are supposed to be going through this, what, culture sensitivity training or training about how to conduct themselves in public, how to respond to constituents in a respectful manner, how to be a leader of the community. Listen, dum-dums, before you guys got elected, this is supposed to be human behavior 101. But the other thing that gets me is this. You would think that the residents of the city of Cleveland would be outraged. Because why would they have to spend $20,000 to teach people that you guys have elected? Not me. I didn't elect these people. But you guys have elected to sit in a leadership position to make decisions for you, and they can't even conduct themselves as an adult. It seems like we got a bunch of nursery school children running the city of Cleveland. And as some people are saying, this is the worst city council they've ever seen in 40, 50, 60, 70 years of living. Brown on Cleveland. Not coming from me. I'm just here to report the news. The other story that's compatible to this one is that there was a recent article that just came out. It came out yesterday, last night, but it's all over Newsbreak today. And it talks about the director, I think he's the director or the manager of Kane Park within the city of Cleveland Heights. They said that this guy, he rules by the fist. They say that he holler, screams, and he yells at employees, and employees work in fear. I, I don't. I don't understand. I really, really just don't understand this behavior. I don't. But they want to call me the mean lady. Ah, this is crazy. And then several weeks ago, remember, all over the news, they were talking about the mayor of Cleveland Heights. They were talking about his wife and his wife's behavior as far as intimidating employees. I don't understand this concept called bully approach. The reality is this: there has to be a better way. There's nowhere in the world that our schools, our place of employment, whatever the case may be, they all have this anti bullying policy. I know that where I am, if you bully somebody, if you retaliate against somebody, you're going to be immediately terminated. No if and buts what's about it. I don't even think they're going to send you like to an anger management class, because you should have known this about your behavior before you signed up for this particular position. You work with people. Working with people, you know, people are natural agitators. They will aggravate the crap out of you. But it's about how do you respond? Well, in my ripe old age, almost 100 years old, me now, I just walk away. And when I walk away, I just close that door because I don't want to see you anymore. Backstabbers, liars, cheaters, ungrateful creatures. I don't want to be bothered by you. I don't. So I just go ahead and leave you alone. And that was one reason I decided to leave, politics alone as far as running for office, is because these folks will get on your nerve all day long. And I just don't want to deal with that nonsense because it's really not worth it. But if you decide to sign up for this and you are sitting in a public seat or an elected seat, you are held to a higher standard. Your behavior got to be better. Nobody wants anybody representing them who acts like a darn fool 24 hours, 7 days a week. Again, don't nobody want a messy Mary or a messy Marvin to sit in a leadership position. Well, maybe that's not true, because you guys will keep recycling the same old people over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm quite sure that if I was to run a thorough research assessment on every single elected official, I guarantee you half of them probably have been accused of being abusive to constituents and or employees. Brown on Cleveland. I said it. At some point in time, y'all, we gotta be smarter. But all this anger, I just don't get it. And then they want to send people to, everybody loves to say, you got to go to anger management class. Well, apparently, if they're going, it's not working. So that's the definition of insanity. So they constantly involve themselves in the same behavior, and the so-called people who know how to diffuse situations like this, they keep using the same silly, non-workable tactic. The question is, who's really crazy? Come see, come saw. Maybe the accuser, and maybe the person who's supposed to be the solution maker. I can't make this stuff up. This stuff is absolutely bonkers. Always remember this. Listen, it's okay to disagree, but how we handle those disagreements can strengthen or weaken our bonds. Plain and simple. With elected officials, it's easy for them to try to make you feel powerless. But really, you are powerful. You have more power than they have. When you realize that they are the employees and the voters are the employers, you will understand that it would never make sense for you to allow them to make you act like you have no sense. So make it make sense. Again, we all get one vote. That vote matters. And I keep saying this over and over and over again. The hell with these political parties. The heck with these political endorsements. You must make the best decision for you, your family, and your collective community. And when you do that, you don't have to worry about taking a microphone, speaking at a council meeting, and becoming simply stressed and angry. It's not worth it. If you don't like that guy or those guys you mentioned, listen, you know what you got to do. Put together a team and help them get out of office. Brown, 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 that darn Brown on Cleveland. What's the deal with all this anger? I don't get it, don't understand it, and I simply don't like it. So you guys weigh in. Do you think that Mr. Houston overstepped his boundaries when he spoke at the Cleveland City Council meeting during public comments? Or do you think that he was spot on when he made comments about Councilperson Kasich and Councilperson Mike Polensek, and he mentioned Councilperson Kevin Conwell as well? Listen, I'm only asking questions. White men, black men who get angry. It wasn't the black woman. And I'm not going to give these men a pass. Watch your emotions. Watch your aggressiveness. Hell, just simply watch your behavior. Brown, 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 that darn Brown on Cleveland. Listen, I got to go because I am going fishing tomorrow. Got my, yeah. I'm going to get me some minnows and some worms. And I'm heading out at about 6:30 in the morning. I'm going fishing, y'all. But listen, don't forget that Friday Night Podcast is always brought to you by Mayor Matt Burt re-election campaign. Make sure you visit mayormattburt.com. Find out everything that the mayor is doing. And hey, if you like him, support him. Brown on Cleveland. But listen, as I say each and every podcast, I know you don't like me, and I kid you not, I don't like y'all either. But that's what we have in common. And you got to respect that. But you know what? If you need me, call me. Don't talk about me because y'all know how I get down. And I will talk about you back because that is a fact. Listen, you guys, have a great Easter. Be safe. And I'll talk to you another day. My name is Kimberly Brown, Brown on Cleveland, and thank you for coming inside the Little Hut podcast. Have a great evening. Bye.